years old in a Kroger grocery store in Covington, Georgia, where I saw a grown man who was in the store getting a spanking by his mother in the store. And if I had to really estimate the age on this man, it would be about 30-some-odd years old, more than likely. So here's what I will say right now. Even though I am all about the fight of nonviolence and bringing peace and happiness and joy to one another, you can't just let people get away with doing whatever they want to do to you, too. Because that was one of the more depressing things I had ever seen in my life. To sit there in a grocery store with other people that were surrounding and to watch this grown man receive a spanking or a whipping by his mother in the store with everyone watching, that's something that absolutely should have been nipped in the bud a long time ago. So I definitely understand where you're coming from when you say that you would hit back, and I understand when other people say they would hit back. Because somehow, some way, you have to send a message to people that this will not be tolerated. I'm not going to condone this. I don't like this. I'm not going to put up with this. And sometimes you have to respond to people in their own language. And sometimes that language are not words of, you need to stop, this is hurting me, this is making me very angry, you're going to cause me to retaliate in a second. Some people honestly do not understand what words mean unless you use your actions and become physical with them, and those are the words that you end up using, which are not actual words. But I understand where you're coming from when you say that. I honestly do, because that's an instance in my life I just say, I hope I never see anything like that again.
So let me ask you a question, okay? I'm going to put you on the spot, all right? Just say you're at your age, okay, or at any age, if your parents struck you, would you stand there and take it, Xavier, or would you fight back physically? Point blank.
I'm not going to fight back physically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk away from the situation.
Oh yeah, hold on. And what if the situation continues to persist? Then what?
The situation will not continue to persist.
Okay.
At that point, the situation will not continue to persist.
Okay. Well, here, I'll give you my answer, okay? And for anybody that wants to judge me based on this, go ahead and do it. I have no problem with that. If anybody, family member or not, dares to lay one hand out at me, okay, I will take my fist or whatever I have to do to physically defend myself. I don't care, period. Grab them, punch them. In fact, if it goes to a point where my physical being is in jeopardy, I'll grab them by the neck and strangle them. I will. And I'm not afraid to say that if I'm forced into a self-defense situation, which I hope is a last resort. You don't want to do it, but at that point, there's that thing called self-defense and self-preservation. Nobody's going to embarrass me, or inflict physical harm on me. If they do, there's a price to pay. Many years ago, before you were born, there was a TV show hosted by Bob Barker, and I know you've never heard of it, called Truth or Consequences, right? Well, guess what? I enjoyed watching that show before Bob Barker graduated on The Price is Right. But yet, ironically, there's a Truth or Consequences out in New Mexico. But the truth is this, okay? You hit me, you pay the consequences, and I hit back. Period. I don't care whether it's a mother, father, don't do it. There's certain boundaries that you cross. But nowadays, unfortunately, if you do that, you can go to jail because you don't know who's calling the cops, and you end up in jail. Big deal. Self-defense is something called self-defense. That's why you have domestic disputes. I think it's great that you're bringing this to the forefront and you're talking about it. I agree what you're doing. I think that I enjoy having these stimulating discussions with you, Xavier, because everybody might see things differently, and that's good. It's okay to discuss this since we have freedom of speech, but that's just how it goes nowadays. Because you know what? You have to protect your own morale, as you say, your self-esteem, but nobody's going to pick on you and get away with it. If I had to do it all over in school many years ago, rather than have other people defend me, I would have been a lot more active physically to do it on my own. However, I will mention an instance when I did leave one school district to another, and the first day that I went ahead and got approached by this guy and said, hey, we got a new guy in here, let's pick on him. You know what happened in the hallway the next day, Xavier? I took him, grabbed them, threw them against the wall, and started beating the living hell out of them. And then I'll even take it to another step, okay? When I was in Hebrew school back as a kid, I had some other kid that used to pick on me a lot in Hebrew school. You know what happens when I saw him in junior high, Xavier? Okay, 3 or 4 days into school, all right? I beat the living hell out of him because I went ahead and held a grudge. Because you know what? You thought you could pick on me back then? Never forgot who you were, okay? And I'll tell you, he never messed around. I was in the principal's office, said, hey, you know what? This guy picked on me once upon a time, and I just want to let him know that I didn't appreciate it. Never got suspended, never got expelled, nothing. Principal understood, told my side of the story, never happened again. The guy never messed around with me again. You follow me? Does that make it
yes,
look
I
like...
follow you, and what you just described is actually perfect to what one of the instances was of what I was describing of what happened within the Joker movie as well.
Okay.
Now, Scott, let me say this. If there's anybody other than my parents, yes, I'm fighting back. I say anybody other than my parents because I understand where you're coming from with the mother or father thing. I'm going to try to restrain myself because, as you said, it's the last resort you want to go to. Because I'm one of those type of people where if I end up having to get physical with someone, I don't know if there's a stopping point. Seriously, depending on the pain and depending on what it is that you caused me, the stress, the pain, the agony, whatever it is, I want to try to do everything I can to avoid getting physical because I might not know my limit on when I need to stop.
Right.
And there may not be somebody there to restrain me from stopping.
Right.
So that's what I want to say in regards to that. I agree with you that you do have to physically defend yourself.
Right.
So, once again, if it's anybody other than a parent, yes, that's a full-out fight. That's a physicality. We're going to do what we have to do, and we're going to get this out of the way. Because, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the way that some parents would handle this about 30, 40 years ago is they would actually... Okay, in an instance where you have two brothers, let's say you have two brothers, and they end up getting into a dispute with each other, and it almost leads to a fight. And you have one of the parents in particular, let's say it's the father, who convenes in and he says, all right, you know what, you guys want to fight? We're going to settle this the right way. And have them both go out there and put some boxing gloves on and go out there in the backyard and box each other. Am I wrong on that? Is that something that actually used to take place?
I think so, but let me go back to the parent thing for a minute, okay? That's where your boundaries are. To me, okay, I don't care who it is, parents or not, cross the line with me, you get hammered, period. Okay, again, I have limitations too, but, boy, you cross that line, and I don't care if you're my mother or father, brother, whoever, cross the line, and there's a price to pay, period. The boundaries are the same. You just better know how far you can go. Now, the boxing gloves thing, that's all well and good. You're going to go out to Walmart and buy yourself some boxing gloves. Think that really solves it? No, I'd rather have an open fist. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. Bottom line is you go ahead and lay a hand on me. There's a price to pay. Remember the key word there, Xavier, boundaries, okay? And everybody's susceptible to the same thing. I don't care who the heck you are. Just because you're my parents doesn't mean you have the right to hammer me. And if you do, think twice about it. It hurts. It does.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that right there. And let me also add this point in as well. I would do everything that I could to remove myself from the situation before allowing someone to even get physical with me in the first place. I'll say that as well, because that is something that I would do. Because, as you said, you're not going to sit there and take a lick from somebody and say, all right, thank you very much. Give me more. No, that's not going to happen, no matter who the person is. It's not going to happen. And for the person who does do that, I'm sorry, we need to find some form of way to get that person some form of help because that's not how you're supposed to respond to a situation like that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But the bottom line is, Xavier, we go back and forth all day long. Everybody has their boundaries. How much can you take until you finally lose it? I don't care who you are. Some boundaries might be a little bit different than others. It just depends on the individual, what their tolerance is. I like to try to resolve things by really outsmarting somebody with my intelligence than I do physically. But sometimes it doesn't always work that way. It just doesn't. You follow me? It doesn't do that because I think a lot more is done that way. But nowadays, when you consider the animal, the source, it doesn't make any difference. And everything you say is great. You have a great message tonight, as you did when we did the suicide show. You really do, and that's why I like it when you become more versatile because you're a great young man. I like working with you, and I treat you like my own son. But the reality is, I don't care who it is. Okay, I think what you ought to do is over the next few days or whatever. I think you need to go on YouTube, and I think you need to go ahead and look for Concrete Angel, and I think you need to watch it not once but several times. And when I talk to you on Sunday night, then you tell me if you want to come back on this show next Wednesday night and tell me what your thoughts. In fact, you know what we can do? Think about this right now, okay? If you want to make this conversation even a bit more interesting, I want you to critique that song, Concrete Angel, by Martina McBride. I think that would be a nice continuation of the show. And let me tell you something. If you don't feel that your heart and your mind aren't touched by this whole thing, something's really wrong. Because I'll tell you, you're talking about a young child, okay, that got abused by her parents with another young child watching it happen. How do you think that would feel? But when you see the words, the emotions and everything, I'm not giving it away. But how would you feel if you were a young child seeing your little friend here get hurt all the time until one day she's not around anymore? Tell me what your reaction would be to that.
Traumatic.
Pardon me?
That would be absolutely traumatic.
Exactly. That's my point. So tell me, where you work right now, how much of this stuff do you see on the streets as you're covering all these different stories?
I don't necessarily see it on the streets, but we do have lots of stories that will come in from police press releases and probable cause affidavits where incidents like this are happening.
Okay.
So we're not actually physically seeing these things. Sometimes there is video evidence out there that will come in with these reports and these press releases, but we're not actually physically seeing these things. But even though I'm not physically seeing them, they are still affecting me in some form of way because child abuse and abuse in general is just absolutely wrong. No, absolutely not.
So let me ask you a question. Have you gone to many crime scenes on the job?
I have gone to 2 crime scenes on the job.
Okay, what type of crimes were they?
One of the crimes was, actually both of them were simply just robberies.
Okay.
So they weren't instances of where people were being abused or child abuse or anything like that. Because actually by the time we would arrive on the scene, the robber would either be in custody or the robber would have gotten away and police would be searching for the suspect. But the first thing you do notice when you're on the scene, you do notice the people who have been affected by what is taking place. And you notice how visibly shaken they are by these things.
Right. Okay. And so how you building morale there? How you encouraging there?
As a journalist, here's what I will say. That can be a slippery slope at times.
Right.
And what I've seen other reporters do is simply just say, we wish you the best. We're very sorry that this occurred. We are here for you if you need us, if you would like to have us report on this story in any way, shape, or form, because sometimes, even though we may go to those scenes, those people are not always necessarily open to talking about those things in that exact moment because you don't know how it's affected them. So as a journalist, it's a slippery slope and it's not exactly helping. But what you do is, what I've seen at least, is you allow these people to come on and tell the story the way that they would like to tell it. And, you just make sure that everything is factual for the most part and that it adds up. Because, there can always be more than one side to every story anyway.
Right.
But, I definitely understand what you're saying there. Now, let's take the journalistic side out of this really quickly.
Sure.
Let's just put the human element side to me to doing something like this. I'm telling that person to go get some help. I'm telling that person to do what they have to do next time. I'm saying if you have to physically defend yourself in whatever way it is, that's just what you're going to have to do to prevent those things from happening, or to try to prevent those things from happening. Because that key word "try" there is a big thing.
Right.
Because sometimes things happen that are out of our control that we just have no control over, and we're simply just in the wrong place at the wrong time because
Right.
someone felt like doing the wrong thing.
Well, that's true. I mean, but again, you're covering news stories is what you're covering, okay? And as a result, by covering news stories, you see You're not covering feel-good stories, are you?